Notice in this poem that structurally we have a structure very much like the Lamb. There are two stanzas. The first begins with a speaker, and he's asking questions. The second has, in some ways, an answer to his questions. The speaker is a young boy, a little boy, as the title says. And he says to his father, "Where are you going? Don't go so fast. You need to speak to me, to talk to me." And yet there's no answer from the father. The only answer that the child gets is that the father is gone suddenly. And the little boy is surrounded by darkness. The element of the dark is the element of the feminine. He's surrounded by this feminine element. And that same feminine element we see also in the idea that he is wet with dew. That's a feminine element. So this little boy is lost in this world of femininity, of women, the world itself, if you will. And he's not knowing where to go. And for answer to him, the only answer he seems to get is that he has this vapor flying away from him. The vapor is a feminine element, as is the marsh, as is the dew, and as is the darkness. And so all these feminine elements seem to be hostile and terrifying to the little child. Normally, in the development of a young boy, his figure for understanding himself as a man, first and foremost, is his father. He'll have other male figures, and he'll certainly have the love of his mother, and he'll have characters that he sees in media and the like. But the first and foremost character that frames his imaginative world, in some ways, psychiatrists seem to tell us, in some ways, the character that he identifies most as God is his father. And in this poem, this boy the father's gone. He can't find the father. The father's lost, just as the little boy is lost, so to speak. And we see that same lostness in the plates. Notice that in the plate itself up here, we have the little boy, and he's almost like running towards the light that he sees. The light here is where the father is. The father off from the frame seems to be carrying the light, but the father's not in the picture. But it gives the impression that father is not just biological human father. It gives the impression almost here that father is the God, the creator, the being himself. And we certainly get that impression from the fact that these irradiating light shoots out from that lamp towards the child. And around the child are all these shadowy figures looming up that are cast by that light. Notice, again, the same image of looming on one side and looming on the other side of this child who's chasing after his father. But very interestingly is that the child is dressed, as a young boy would be dressed in the skirts, but with a hat on, almost the hat of a grown man, the hat of a minister or of a man of some position in society. And this little boy is searching for his father, the light. Thus, the poem takes on a different dimension, not just the dimension of some little boy who's been lost in the marshes, but the dimension of man's loss of the vision of God and his searching for that divine vision in the midst of a dark, dark world. What Blake does also strikingly is that we see in the lower section of the plate where the words are, he has drawn all around the words angels surrounding the words and stars underneath. And the words themselves are almost like ethereal, almost like they're drawn with a feather length of pen. The words are emerging almost like some sort of metaphysical vision given to us. What that seems to suggest is that although the boy is lost in the dark, certainly, nevertheless, the poem and that whole crisis is surrounded by angelic forces that are there to protect and to guide and to uphold, almost like cradling a baby. So the angels end up cradling the words like a mother or a father would cradle a baby. The idea that underneath are the everlasting arms. That seems to suggest that the crisis is certainly severe, but the crisis is nevertheless framed by these looming shadows that seem to threaten us and by these arms underneath that seem to guide us in our own progress towards becoming adults and dealing with the loss of the vision of God.